Each address is identified by the unique address. Static random access memory is also of type volatile memory. Most of the system we are going to use dynamic random access memory instead of static random access memory. Synchronous dynamic random access memory is designed to synchronize itself with the timing of the CPU. Hello to all, a warm welcome to my new session. I am Revati, faculty, Department of Computer Science, Vidyashram, Pre-University College, Temple of Excellence, Mysuru. Today we are on the 7th session of 2nd chapter, and the chapter name is Input, Output and Memory Devices. In today's session, I am going to deal with what is primary memory once again, the type of primary memory, that is random access memory. Along with that, I'm going to discuss what is static random access memory, what is dynamic random access memory, along with that characteristics. Along with that, I'm going to deal with difference between RAM and ROM. Before going to start my today's session, let me to recall the things what I had discussed in my last session. In my previous session, we had discussion regarding what is memory and the two types of memory, that is primary memory and secondary memory. Along with that, we had discussion regarding ROM. So, what is memory? Here, memory is nothing but the storage area that is mainly used to store data and instruction. Whereas the memory is further classified into two types, that is primary memory and secondary memory. In my previous session, we had discussion regarding primary memory. Now tell me what is primary memory. So here the primary memory is called static memory. Now tell me why it is called static memory. Because here we are not going to have rotating device. For that reason, the primary device is called static memory. So here primary memory is also called main memory, and it is mainly used to store the data which is required by the CPU for further execution. So here the primary memory is faster memory, and the size of the primary memory is small when it is compared to secondary memory. Then we had discussion regarding types of primary memory, that is ROM and RAM. In my previous session, we had discussion regarding ROM. So what is ROM? Here ROM is nothing but read-only memory. So here the name itself indicates that it is only possible to read the data. We cannot able to write the data. So what kind of program we can able to write here? So here the RAM chips are written or burnt during the manufacturing. That means whatever the ROM chip we are going to have, that holds the inbuilt program. I repeat, the ROM chip holds the inbuilt program that is required by the computer system during the startup. That means when I'm going to press the start button, that time the program required to start the computer system, that kind of programs are stored or burnt in the read-only memory. So it is burnt or written during the manufacturing, and it holds the inbuilt program, and it is required by the computer system to start their programs. Then we had discussion regarding types of read-only memory, that is programmable read-only memory, electrically erasable programmable read-only memory, and erasable programmable read-only memory. So these are the three different types of read-only memory. Moving further, in my today's session, I'm going to deal with random access memory. So here the name itself indicates that you can able to access the data randomly and you can able to perform the operation randomly. That means you can able to perform read and write operation. That means user can capable to read the data which is stored on the random access memory. At the same time, user can capable to write the data onto the random access memory. So here RAM stands for random access memory. So here random access memory is the most common type of memory and which is used to store the data. The main place of program that is stored on your computer system is nothing but the random access memory. And the random access memory is called temporary memory. That means whatever the data we are going to store, that is stored temporarily. So it is also called volatile memory. It's also called volatile memory. Now tell me why random access memory is called volatile memory. Because when the computer is turned off or switch off, the content which is stored on the random access memory is get erased. For that reason, it is called volatile memory. That means when we switch off a computer, whatever is stored in the RAM gets erased. For that reason, the random access memory is called volatile memory. And whenever CPU requires the program to execute, that time all the programs must be brought into the random access memory. For example, consider the example. Think that I have secondary memory. This is my secondary memory. And I have stored two text files, that is text1 and text2 in the secondary storage device, that is nothing but the secondary memory. Now I want to execute text1 file. What I want to do? I want to bring this text1 file to random access memory, then only the CPU is capable to execute text1 program. That means whatever the data the CPU want to execute, that must be brought into the random access memory. That means we know that all the data are stored inside the secondary storage device. So here CPU cannot directly access the data which is stored on the secondary storage device. So what we want to do? We want to bring that program which is stored on the secondary storage device to primary storage device, that is nothing but random access memory. Then only the CPU is capable to access the data which is stored on the random access memory. That is, when the CPU runs a program, it fetches the programs or instruction from the random access memory. And if the CPU want to store the intermediate result, then it can be stored in the random access memory. That means after executing program by the CPU, whatever the output we are going to get, that must be stored under random access memory. After executing program, whatever the output we are going to get, that must be stored under random access memory, and this random access memory is called volatile memory, because the content which is present on the random access memory get erased when the power is turned off or your computer system is turned off. Moving further, the main memory capable to store many data items, and it is possible to retrieve when it is required. That means all the data are stored in the random access memory. And at the same time, suppose if I want to access or retrieve any data which is stored on the random access memory, we can very easily retrieve. The main memory can be compared to box at a post office. That means whatever the primary memory or main memory or random access memory I'm going to have, I'm going to consider that one as my post office box. Post office box. Here each holder has a box. That means here each holder has a box with a unique number which is called address. That means, for example, think that I want to hold one post office box. So what I will do, I'm going to hold one post office box. Then how it is identified? That is identified by the unique ID that is called address. That is called address. Now, this address is used to identify the box. That means in post office, there are so many members, they have their own post office box. But how they can able to identify? Based on their address. Here address is used to identify the box uniquely. Same as in computer system, you are going to have memory, and all the programs are stored in the computer memory. And how it's possible to identify the program? Based on the address. So for example, think that this is the memory location, or this is the random access memory location, and think that it is of type byte. That means, so here the address is of type 2 bytes. So it starts from 001, then 0003, it is 0005, it is 0007. And all the data are stored under random access memory. So I have txt1 and txt2, txt3, txt4. Now, how I can able to identify the data which is stored on the random access memory? That is achieved with the help of address. That means here each address is identified by the unique address. So here all the addresses are unique. With the help of address, I can able to identify the data which is stored on the random access memory. So this address serves to identify the box. The memory has number of location in its store. Each location in a memory has unique number called memory address. If I consider this example, what is the memory address I'm going to have? That is 0001, 0003, 0005 and 0007. So these four numbers are called memory address. Memory address and used to identify storage and retrieval. That means based on the memory address, I can able to identify the program which is stored on the random access memory. At the same time, I can able to retrieve the data or program which is stored on the random access memory with the help of address, that is nothing but the memory address. Moving further, the RAM operation on memories are called read and write. That means here random access memory can capable to perform read operation and write operation. That means the user can capable to read the data which is stored on the random access memory. At the same time, it is also possible to write the data. That means user can able to write the data onto the random access memory. A write instruction transfers information from other device to memory. That means when I'm going to perform write instruction or write operation, that indicates that you're going to transfer the data or instruction from one device to memory. And suppose if I am going to perform read instruction or read operation, then that indicates that transfers information from memory to other device. So dear student, just make a note. Suppose when I'm using write operation, then I'm going to write the content to other device to the memory. Just remember that when I'm going to use write operation, that indicates that I'm going to write the instruction from one device to other memory. And if I'm going to use read operation, that indicates that I'm going to transfer or write the instruction from memory to other device. A memory that transfers both read and write is called random access memory. That means the memory which is capable to perform both read as well as write operation, that kind of memory is called random access memory. Moving further, there are two types of random access memory, that is static random access memory and it is also called SRAM. And I'm going to have dynamic random access memory, that is nothing but DRAM. Moving further, I'm going to have static random access memory. So what is static? The name itself indicates that it is constant. So here the word static indicates that the memory retains. Here retains means what? Remains its contents as long as power being supplied. That means the content which is present on the static random access memory remains as long as the power is supplied. Data is lost when the power gets down or when your computer is turned off. So in that time, the data which is present on the static memory get erased. For that reason, it is called volatile. That means here static random access memory is also of type volatile memory. And the static random access memory need not have to be refreshed. That means each time no need to refresh the static random access memory in order to maintain the data. And the static random access memory is also called cache memory, and it is very fast access memory. So in static random access memory, the content remains same until unless the power is turned off or your computer system is turned off. The word static indicates that the content which is present on the memory remains same as long as the power is supplied, and here we does not require any refreshment frequently. Moving further, let's see the characteristics of static random access memory. That is, it has long life. That means whatever the content which is stored on the static random access memory has long life, and there is no need to refresh. That means whatever the content which is stored on the static random access memory, that does not needed to refresh. And faster, because the static random access memory is called cache memory, and the execution speed here is high, and it is a faster memory and used as cache memory. That means whatever the static random access memory I'm going to have, that is used as cache memory, and the size of the static random access memory is large and cost is effective. That is cost effective. That means expensive and high power consumption. That means it consumes very high power. So these are the some of the characteristics of static random access memory. Moving further, I'm going to have dynamic random access memory. So here the DROM, that is dynamic random access memory, must be continuously refreshed. That means when I'm going to use dynamic random access memory, what I want to do? I want to refresh the memory frequently. That means I want to recharge the memory frequently in order to maintain the data. So to recharge, what I'm going to have? I'm going to have recharge circuitry, that is refreshment circuit. That means suppose if I want to refresh my dynamic random access memory, then I'm going to have refreshment circuit that rewrites the data several hundred times per second. That means in order to maintain the data constantly, I'm going to refresh the dynamic random access memory. To refresh, I'm going to have refresh circuit. And what is the job of the refresh circuit here? It is going to refresh the data frequently. That means it is going to rewrite the data several hundred times per second. And the dynamic random access memory is used for most system memory because it is cheap and small. That means most of the system we are going to use dynamic random access memory instead of static random access memory because it is cheaper and smaller in size. It uses transistor. That means here the dynamic RAM is made up of transistor and capacitor. Transistor and capacitor. So here the transistor act as switch. I repeat, the dynamic memory that is dynamic random access memory, are made by using transistors and capacitor. And here the transistor act as switching device, that is nothing but switch. The transistors are arranged in a matrix of rows and columns. That means the transistors are placed in the form of matrix. That means all the transistors are placed rows as well as columns. The capacitor holds the bit of information, that is 0 and 1. That means here the dynamic random access memory is made up of transistor as well as capacitor. So here transistor act as switching device, whereas capacitors are used to store the data. In which kind of data? That is binary data, that is in the form of zeros and ones. The transistor and capacitors are paired to make a memory shell. That means here both the transistor as well as capacitors are combined in order to make a memory shell. These are the some of the characteristics or features of dynamic random access memory. Moving further, let's see the characteristics of dynamic random access memory. That is, it has short data lifetime. How it is possible to justify? Because we want to refresh the data frequently. To refresh the data, I require refreshment circuit. So whatever the data, it is stored on the dynamic random access memory, it has only very short data lifetime and need to be refreshed continuously. And the execution speed is slower when it is compared to static random access memory, and it is used as random access memory. The size is very small and it is less expensive and it consumes very less power compared to static random access memory. So these are the some of the characteristics of DRAM, that is dynamic random access memory. Moving further, I'm going to have the type of dynamic random access memory. In that, I'm going to have synchronous dynamic random access memory. Now tell me, what is synchronization? Here synchronization is nothing but the behavior of dynamic random access memory, and here the synchronous dynamic random access memory is designed to synchronize itself with the timing of the CPU. That means here SDRAMs are designed in order to synchronize with the timing of CPU. This enables the memory control to know the exact clock cycle. That means in order to know the exact clock cycle, we are going to have synchronous dynamic random access memory. That is, here the dynamic random access memory is mainly going to synchronize with the clock pulse of the CPU. Here the synchronized dynamic random access memory can be standard for SD or SD random access memory, that is single data rate synchronous dynamic random access memory, where the input and output internal clocks and buses are the same. That means whatever the input output device, I'm going to have their clock pulse as well as the bus clock pulse are synchronized. For that reason, it is called single data rate synchronous dynamic random access memory. So here we are going to mainly focus on the synchronization of your memory device with the timing of the CPU. That means in order to execute the data, we must synchronize with the clock pulse of CPU with the memory. Moving further, I'm going to have the another type of synchronous dynamic random access memory, that is DDR, that is double data rate. That means whatever the data rate we are going to have, that is double in data rate. So it is called double data rate synchronous dynamic random access memory. The transfer rate of DDR SDRAM is the double of SDR. That means whatever the data transfer rate we are going to have, that is double when comparing to SDR SDRAM. And SDR SDRAM as the first generation of double data rate memory. That means this is the first memory chip we are going to have, and the prefetch buffer is 2 byte. That means whatever the prefetch buffer I'm going to have in DDR, that is of type 2-bit, and which is the double of SDR SDRAM, because here I'm going to use prefetch buffer is 2-bit and the size of the DDR is double when compared to SDR SD random access memory. The transfer rate of DDR between 266 to 400 mega transfer per second. So here MT bar S stands for mega transfer per second, and DDR 266 and DDR 400 are of the same type. That means whatever the DDR 266 and whatever the DDR 400, I'm going to have the working procedure and the storage capacity, everything are same. Moving further, I'm going to have another type of dynamic RAM, that is DDR2. So here DDR2 is nothing but the double data rate 2. So whatever the data transfer rate I'm going to have, that is 1 to double in DDR2 compared to previous DDR SDRAM. So here the DDR2 has a benefit. That means here it is capable to operate the external data bus twice as per DDR. That means it is unique when compared to DDR because it is capable to operate external data bus twice as fast as DDR SDRAM, and this is achieved by improved bus signal. That means in order to achieve the double data rate twice, we are going to have improved bus signal. Along with that, the prefetch buffer of DDR2 is 4 byte. In previous DDR2, the prefetch buffer size is 2-bit. Here it is 4 bits. So it is called double of DDR. These are some of the characteristics of DDR2. So in SDRM, I'm going to have DDR and DDR2. These are some of the characteristics and features of DDR and DDR2. Moving further, I'm going to have the difference between ROM and RAM. So I'm going to discuss the difference between ROM and RAM with the difference in that first one, data retention. That is, RAM is volatile. So what is volatile? That is temporary. That means whatever the data which is stored on the memory, that is stored as long as the power is supplied. That means how long we are going to provide the power supply, that much time the data remains in the random access memory. That means when you turn off your computer system or when the power supply is off, then the content which is stored on the random access memory get lost or get erased. Then ROM. What is ROM? That is read-only memory. So it is non-volatile. That means whatever the data which is present on the read-only memory, the data stored permanently and based on the working type. So data stored in random access memory can be retrieved and altered. That means here the name itself indicates that we can able to perform random access to memory. That means I can able to read the data, I can able to write the data, at the same time I can able to modify the data. And in read-only memory, data is stored read-only. Here I can able to read the data, but I cannot able to write the data onto the ROM chip. And the next difference here is use. Based on the usage, that means here random access memory is used to store the data that has to be currently processed by the CPU temporarily. That means here the random access memory is mainly used to store the data and which is required by the CPU frequently and temporarily. Whereas in read-only memory, the data or instructions are required during bootstrap of the computer. That means the read-only memory chips are burnt or written during the manufacturing, and that holds the program or instruction that required to start your computer system. So it stores the instruction required during boot or bootstrap of the computer system. The next difference with respect to speed. So here the random access memory is called high speed memory, whereas ROM, the execution speed here is very low compared to random access memory. The next difference with respect to CPU interaction. The CPU can access the data stored on it. That means whatever the data which is stored on the random access memory, the CPU can able to access the data directly. Whereas in ROM, here CPU cannot able to access the instruction or data which is stored on the ROM, that is read-only memory. Suppose CPU want to access the data which is stored on the ROM, then all the data which is stored on the ROM must be brought into random access memory. Then only the CPU can capable to access the data which is stored on the random access memory. The next difference with respect to size and capacity. So the size of the random access memory is large and higher capacity, whereas ROM, the size is smaller and less capacity. And moving on to the cost, the cost required to purchase random access memory is costlier compared to ROM. That means here ROM is cheaper. So these are the some of the difference between random access memory and read-only memory. And dear student, from the examination point of view, this is very important topic. That means what is ROM, what are the types of ROM, what is RAM, what are the types of RAM, and what is memory. These are the very, very important topic from your examination point of view. Dear students, let's meet in my next session with more information about input, output, and memory device. Until then, keep learning and keep watching. Thank you.